We're going to continue to do work on this wall. This is the wall that we had done some prep work on with pressure washing. And the goal, what we're trying to show here, is there are options when we have the lower curvature of the log is still in, the stain is still in pretty good shape, but we just need to do some treatment on the top. Obviously, this wall was in pretty bad shape, but we chose this just to show the principles. And we'll see commonly in log homes big variation in terms of the condition of these upper curvatures. And it's real frequent that there just might be minor damage to the top, and it's more economical just to treat those areas that have weathered and the other stain that's on the logs are in good shape. So we're just showing kind of the principles of that. This wall we pressure washed pretty aggressively. We treated it with some CPR to try to help clean it and brighten it up. This wall was in such bad shape that the CPR did not brighten the wood to any great degree. It was still pretty dark. So we did a secondary treatment with actually some phosphoric acid and oxalic acid to try to brighten it up. But this is the brightest we could get this particular wall, which is a little darker than what I would prefer. Realistically, this wall probably should have been stripped down to bare wood with one of the blasting methods and start over from scratch. But this shows the principle of what can be done. Once we do the pressure washing, and if we do it correctly, we don't want to tear the wood up real bad by getting too close, but if we stay too far away again, it doesn't do a very good job of cleaning. So we get a texture that's left that has what we call felting. Little hairy type wood fibers that are stuck to the surface. And while these aren't a huge problem in terms of we could stain over it, it really doesn't look that good. It's very difficult to clean the wall properly and not get some of this felting. There are some contractors that say, oh, I'm so good with the pressure washer that I don't cause felting. The only way to not cause felting is to be so far away that you really don't do adequate cleaning. So this is something that definitely has to be dealt with if a wall is pressure washed and pressure washed effectively. So you can see the little fuzzing or felting that's occurred, and really that needs to be cleaned off prior to staining in order to get a nice looking stain job. If we pan over a little bit as we come over to this side has been more adequately prepped. And so you can see that the felting's been removed. We still have some of the old stain that's left over, and we're going to try to blend that in. And if we can move up a little bit even to this log and can see the difference between what some additional prep work will do. There are a number of options that we have to do some additional prep. And to kind of demonstrate that on this wall, I'm going to do a little additional prep with a couple of different methods, but only on this side of the wall. All contractors that work on log homes need to have a variety of different tools and really understand how they work, because every project's different, and in some circumstances one system will work better than the other. A very common system that a lot of people use, in particular a lot of homeowners may use to do additional work, would be the standard random orbit type sander. And these can be effective. Basically, we'd want to do just some additional work. And this can be pretty effective in terms of smoothing things out and getting rid of some of that felting. Fairly time consuming. One of the other disadvantages of this type of a system is it tends to maybe over smooth some of the logs. We get rid of that natural draw-knifed look and the little faceted effects that are on the logs. But it all depends on the circumstance and the final results that you want. So that certainly is one option. Another option that I've gone to more recently to do some of the initial prep is using some good quality scrapers. These scrapers are made specifically for working on logs, and you have to keep them very sharp, almost a razor's edge. And they can do a nice job of being able to feather in some of these lines. Actually, you can even add some of those facets to give the appearance of draw knife marks. And they can work pretty good in certain circumstances to also be able to get down to some more bare wood, some of the brighter wood that's available in the logs. I frequently, almost always, will follow up with the buffy pad system. One of the real strengths of the buffy pad system, in particular on walls that have been pressure washed, is I have not found anything more effective in quickly and efficiently removing that felting than with the buffy pads. And it's relatively easy and quick to go over that. Basically, we're going to use this system. Very little pressure, just fairly quickly going over, and it's going to remove any remaining stain that might be not adhered to the logs very well. And with the right technique and a little practice, you can really get a nice feathering effect with the stain that remains on the wood, as opposed to getting down to more of the bare wood sections. And getting that nice feathered effect will very much help us to get a nice looking stain job that doesn't look like it's been patched. As you can see, this goes actually fairly quickly. We don't use a lot of pressure. We're just lightly buffing over the surface. So regardless of whether I use the scraper or sanders, I almost always finish up with a very quick work with the buffer. This is a little closer view of a log, then I'm going to do some additional prep work with the buffing pad. As you can see, there's a fair amount of felting as a result of the pressure washing. There's also still some areas where there's a little bit of flaking left on the stain. It's difficult to get all of that off just simply with one method. So using the buffing pad, just lightly going over those areas, you see that just virtually erases real quickly any of that felting that exists. Plus, it helps to feather the edges of those spots where the stain remains. And this will very much help us get a lot nicer looking stain job.